Autonomous agents are super cool. They can operate independently, dynamically plan, orchestrate other agents, and complete the tasks without constant human intervention. Hi, my name is Rafsan Husseinov and I'm a Microsoft MVP. I'm super excited today to show you how we can build autonomous agents in Microsoft Copilot Studio. And I will also explain what AI agents are, the different use cases, and why we need to build one. Let's get started. Let's first understand what's an AI agent. AI agents are systems that enable large language models, or LLMs in short, to perform actions by extending their capabilities by giving LLMs access to tools and knowledge. The last two pieces, which are tools and knowledge, are very important because large language models, they don't have access to our organizational data. So by giving access to our organizational data and creating certain actions using tools like Power Automate, we extend large language models capabilities. So here, as you can see, the first one is perform actions. For example, we can build an agent saying whenever user submits an intake request for projects, then take that input and save in SharePoint list. Access to tools. This is the another part. LLMs can't do actions without accessing any tools, so they need certain tools. In this case, we are going to use Copilot Studio. We will use Power Automate tools to provide actions. And of course, knowledge. Knowledge is very important part because bringing our own data or connecting our agents with our internal data sources that can be relational databases, for example, SQL, Dataverse, or that can be PDF files that it contains important information. So those are the knowledge sources we are going to use in today's demo. Now that we have understanding of what AI agents are, let's understand when we can use them, because I see a lot of people somehow confuse rule-based automations with the autonomous agents. So if you try to build these agents, have a good use case first to understand, okay, do any of these criterias involved in my use case? The first one is open-ended problems. So the key part in autonomous agents, they excel in handling open-ended problems, where the steps to complete a task cannot always be predefined like hard-coded. By using LLMs, these agents can dynamically determine the necessary actions to achieve the desired outcome and adapt to new information and changing circumstances as needed. So as you can see, if you build a rule-based automation in Power Automate, you would define all these triggers, actions, so that it's rule-based. But on the other hand, in the agent, you can define the instructions, and once you enable orchestration, it will determine its best next action items. We will see it together. Multi-step processes. Many tasks require a level of complexity that goes beyond single-shot retrieval of information. Autonomous agents are designed to manage multi-step processes, utilizing tools and gathering information over multiple interactions. This allows them to handle intricate workflows and provide more accurate and comprehensive solutions. So that doesn't mean that we can't use role-based automations, because in Power Automate you can build multi-step processes, process flows. But here, again, it starts with how complex it is. And the third one is improvement over time. One of the most exciting aspects of autonomous agents is their ability to improve over time, because they can receive feedback from their own environment or by users, these agents can learn and adapt, enhancing their performance. So my suggestion, whenever you have use case, whether to build agent or role base, have these criteria first to understand if any of these involves, then you may use agents. Or not, just go to Power Automate. It's way simpler to build rule-based automations there. So types of agents, there are different types of agents, like goal-oriented agents, model-based agents, but here we are basically talking about a spectrum of agents. On the left side, we have simple agents. This can do, for example, retrieval and so on. And on the right side, we have advanced. And let's explore this one by one. Retrieval agents. So I built, for example, two agents, one in Copilot Studio and one in Microsoft 365 Copilot, or extending Microsoft 365 Copilot. So basically what I did, I brought my organizational data, the fictional organizational data, inside my agent, so that whenever user asks certain questions, it would bring answers from those documentation, not from the large language model itself. So these are basically retrieval agents. So for example, you have a frequent asked questions. So you can you can build agent on top of that and share with the users. Instead of users opening the frequent asked questions file and try to find the best answer, this time users can interact with agent, and agent provide the best answers from your file. The second one is tasks. This is also really great. Currently, it's generally available. For example, you can build an agent saying that whenever user submits, there is a fictional company, let's say project intake request inside agent, him decides to build or action an agent to help save those product questions in refunds and replacements on products from pets at home. What I'm most excited about is the autonomous agents, when the user sends an email, because they can trigger independently orchestrate based on the user prompt. Agent will take that information, and then it will plan its next actions. The next actions, for example, visiting refunds replacement database, then pets at home website, then create an answer, then send an email, and the last action, for example, the agent generated response. So for example, in this case, hi there, the refund agent needs your approval on a replacement request over £200. So this is happening without human interaction, because we provided agent with tools and knowledge. In today's demo, though, what I'm going to show to you, or we can build it together, the agent that can streamline the operations team's workflow by reducing the volume of emails they need to handle manually. So this is a very common use case, because you might have agents where you invite users to use, but not all the users are going to adopt or use that. Instead, you will have some people still send an email to you or your team to ask questions. So instead of manually answering all those emails and compiling answers, now you can bring those inside agent. Agent will basically, based on your instructions, create an answer and reply back to the user. So this is very powerful. So in our use case, agent, the end user will send an email asking about my app. My app is basically, let's say, it's a fictional software that we released recently, and the user is asking about my app. The prompt that the end user will provide is about, I have encountered a data sync issues. How can I fix this? Agent will grab this information, then bring inside the agent, and then search for the knowledge sources first, because that's how I'm going to put the instructions. Search your knowledge base first, find an information, craft a good email, and then send an email. And the outcome will be user will receive an email with the response. For example, thank you for reaching out with your question about my app. If you encounter a data sync issues in, so this is basically going to be the answer from our knowledge source. So this is our use case, and the tool that we are going to use called Microsoft Copilot Studio. If you haven't explored this tool, it's a fantastic tool. It's basically end-to-end SaaS solution to build AI agents. So this is where we will start, and I will put the link about this website as well as documentation. Here I'm in the My App Email Responder agent inside Copilot Studio. So on the Overview tab, let's explore the details of our agent. So let me know in the comments if you want me to build this step by step, but I believe this demo would help you to follow along and build your own agent. So the name of the agent is My App Email Responder. So one tip here, whenever you build any agent, make sure you define everything. Like here, I'm talking about my email responder. That's also important. Then we need to put enough description, then instructions. Anything that we are adding, whether it's action, trigger, knowledge, we need to define the purpose of them so that agent can define its next steps when it's triggered. And the description here, I'm saying an agent that responds to user emails with the subject my app by crafting responses from its knowledge sources and using the send email action. The instructions are the most important part here if you are building autonomous agents, because here you define the steps. The purpose of the agent, I'm saying this agent assists the operations team by responding to user emails about the new project intake application called My App. The agent is triggered by emails with the subject My App question. By the way, you don't have to always define the subject, but here I'm just putting My App question. Retrieves relevant information from its knowledge source, crafts a response, and sends an email back to the user. And in the instructions, I'm defining these steps. First, email analysis. Detect a trigger based on the subject line My App question. Information retrieval. Access the agent's knowledge source to gather relevant information that addresses the user's question about My App. Response generation. Craft a clear and informative email response based on the retrieved information. Ensure the response is accurate and helpful. And then send an email. Use the send an email response action to respond to the user with the crafted answer. And I also provide the example flow, how it works. And below, I have notes. Ensure the information retrieved from the knowledge source is up to date and accurate, and maintain a professional and helpful tone in all communications. Right below the instructions, we have this new in preview feature called orchestration. This is the key for autonomous agents, because unless you turn this on, your agents will not be triggered by external events. When you enable this feature, the agent can automatically select the most appropriate action, or this can be topic, or this can be which knowledge source should I use, then respond to a user. But simply turning this on, it's not enough. Anything you have, whether it's knowledge, whether it's topic, whether it's action or trigger, you also need to define them so that agent can understand the next steps. So I'm turning this on. Means that we have knowledge section where I'm providing my internal data source and unenable or disable the allow the AI to use its own general knowledge. Because if you turn this on, this will just go ahead and search information from its own uh, training model and provide you answer, uh, but you don't need that, right? Because you want these be context aware and use your own internal sources rather than internet. So make sure you turn this off if you are using your internal sources. And the one one knowledge source I have here called user guide my app. So if you look at here, you can see the details here. For example, typical frequent asked questions, how can I log in? And here is the answer. Users can interact with the agent to ask questions. This is possible. For example, what's my app? This will basically search the knowledge source that we provided and craft an answer for the user. And here you can see my app is a software application designed to help user manage and submit intake requests. And if you look at all the references, this is coming from our own user guide for my app. This is cool, but our agent is autonomous, triggered by external events, and we will explore that as well. So we are done with knowledge part, but if you want, you can add more knowledge. This can be public websites, this can be your SharePoint. If you have any SharePoint document library, you can also refer. But one suggestion, if you bring files from SharePoint, to make sure that they have proper format and so that agent can understand. And also Dataverse, this is also recommended because it's relational database, or you can simply drag and drop or upload files like PDF files, Word files, PowerPoint, or Excel. Or you can also use advanced um, connectors here. This can be Azure SQL, Salesforce, etc. I'm hoping that we will see more and more enterprise data connections will be added, because we know that not all the data resides in Microsoft ecosystem. So these are the currently supported knowledge sources that you can bring. I'll exit from here. And another part here, if I click here, edit, so try to define, I haven't defined that well, but define the knowledge description. Right now we have only one knowledge source, but if you have multiple knowledge sources, my recommendation is always put enough description so that agent can understand when it's triggered. So we are done with the knowledge part. Another part is actions. Actions help us to extend the capabilities of our agent. If you enable the generative orchestration, the agent will trigger the best or appropriate actions based on your instructions, or you can also create those actions within your topics. And I have two actions here. The first one is save my app results flow. That means that whenever users ask question, agent will craft an answer, but it will also save those information as well. So later that we can refer, okay, what type of questions users typically ask, and the answers that created by agent, so that we can detect whether there are any hallucinations, etc. And then we have another action called send an email. Again, these are basically Power Automate flows. Send an email response. If I click here, edit, this will take us to Actions tab. And here we can see the details of our action. The action name is send an email response. Display name is the same. Then description is really important. This operation sends an email message responding user questions about my app. You can add more information, but be specific when you define those inputs. And you can also ask the user before running this action. Um, you can turn this on or not. Another thing here gonna be authentication. Make sure that you use Copilot author authentication. Otherwise, if you use user authentication, that will ask users to log in or connect before triggering any actions, and sometimes it's not the best user experience, so that's why this is an important piece. And inputs and outputs, you can determine this as well. For example, two part, how will the agent fill this input? You say dynamically fill best option. This is from for example, coming from agent. Display name to, you can also define this, identify as end user's entire response. I'm saying grab the entire email body from the email. Then description, specify email addresses separated by semicolons like this. This is by default. I haven't changed anything. If you look at the additional settings, Copilot prompt user for input, I don't need to customize it. Then subject line is the same, and body is how will the agent will fill this input. You say dynamically fill with the best option. You are saying you are asking your agent basically create the answer based on your instructions and dynamically fill those variables with the best option. Here is the display name. I haven't changed any of this, and output is the same. You don't have to customize this, but if you want, these are the options. So as I said, we have two actions now, and we will test it together. And the most important part for autonomous agents are the triggers. These are basically event triggers. Like if you build any Power Automate flows, I believe this is going to be a very familiar concept. Event triggers need a selected event to create a trigger payload, or let's say message, which is then sent to the agent via a connector. And if you look at here, we are using Office 365 Outlook connector. If we can open this, edit in Power Automate, we will see like very simple trigger and action. For example, the connector, when a new email arrives, we can go to About section. This operation triggers a flow when a new email arrives. It will skip any email that has a total message size greater than the limit put by your Exchange admin, or 50 MB. So when the user sends an email, if we look at the parameters, I said subject filter my app question, but this can also come from the body of the email. Then sends a prompt to the specified Copilot for processing, and the Copilot name here you can see my app email responder. These are all the Copilots I have, but I'm saying send this input to my app email responder agent. And also I'm asking use content from body, and about section you can see sends a prompt to the specified Copilot for processing. So if we go back here, we can see this is the trigger, and I've tested this multiple times. You can see all of these, and if you want to test, you can click start test, and you can add more triggers as well. Here are all the list of available triggers. For example, when code is pushed to Git, this is Azure DevOps connector, or when a file is created OneDrive. So this will basically trigger your agent, and then depends on instructions to do the next action items. But keep that in mind. You will need to turn your generative orchestration feature enabled. If you turn that off, this feature will not be available. The same thing in the actions. Actually, if you click add action, you will see a list of all the actions available. You can actually search by the name here. For some reason it doesn't show all the actions, but there are many actions. For example, if I type Outlook, this will show all the Outlook actions here that we can use. Additionally, we can also add new action. This can be new prompt, AI builder. Then you can create a new Power Automate flow, which we have one, new custom connector, upload a skill from Azure Bot Framework, or bring your own REST API. So these are the actions. And Regarding the topics of these agents, I haven't created any custom topics because I rely on um, agents orchestration feature. And one thing we have here, conversational boosting. Agent will determine the next action items, and it will also look at the knowledge source using the create generative answers, and then use the actions called send an email response to send an email to the user. And if you look at here, you will need to you can define many actions, and when you test it, you will see activity here. You can see all of them performed. Now let's go ahead and send an email to my agent. I'll just send an email to myself. I will define my app question. You can simply ask, for example, how can I log in to my app? Please help. And I'm going to send an email. I just received an email. This is just I'm sending email from my own Outlook to myself. And if I go back to activity tab here, let's refresh here. Sometimes it takes some time. Easy way actually, if you come to overview, if you look at the test trigger, now you can see just one trigger today. And let's go back here. Okay, perfect. This is agent created answer. To log into my app, use the application URL provided by your organization, enter your username or password and click login. So the email format is a little different now. I've been working on to make this more structured like HTML. I would say I haven't been successful, but once I test it properly, I will, in the future videos, I will have this for you. And if I go back here, now let's go to activity tab. Now, if I look at the first activity here, what I see here, this is really fantastic. So the email, when the user sends an email, this triggers the agent, email responder flow. That's the name of our trigger. Then we can see it here, the input coming from here, and you can see it here. That's the input. Then agent grabs that input and look at our knowledge source to craft an answer, then sends an email to user with the answer. So here is the email body to log into my application, and here is my email address, here is the subject line. So, and as you can see, this is very powerful. This is very simple but powerful use case. You can build agents around this, like if you use any generative answers, if you want AI to help your users with answers or certain workflows, I believe Copilot Studio can help you to build this. So that's it for today. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, put in the comments. I will build more and more agents and around more business use cases. But if you have a business case, please put in the video description and I can work on that. And thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.